What's going on, guys? This is the RPO College Football Podcast. We are back live again with you. Thank you guys for coming in. We do appreciate each and every one of you being in here today. I'm your host, Jerome Jones. We got my man, TJ Mathewson. How you doing, TJ?
I'm doing good. We got Pac-12 back this week. That's exciting. Going to be up early here on the West Coast to watch my Sun Devils at 9 a.m. bright and early. The newfound Pac-12 9 a.m. kickoff. Not sure if I'm a fan yet, but we'll see.
Let's see. Hey, and we got my man Ray Roberts right down there. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Doing great. The MAC is back. Pac-12 is back. I just like saying the MAC is back. It sounds cool. It sounds like the song.
MAC.
Return. Right now, I'm talking about.
When I was on the West Coast, I used to love the fact that you woke up on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Games were already on.
That's what I love about the West Coast now. I just don't know about the teams on the West Coast playing at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love that, and you could watch Monday Night Football till like 9:30, and then go out again.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Exactly.
That's great. And also, we actually got some MAC games going on right now as we're speaking. So if I can, I'm gonna try to sneak to get some scores for you while we're getting on here, some quick updates. But guys, let's get right into our games of the week for week 9. We're gonna get right into it because we got a lot to talk about. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off for our first game. I want to talk about this game because it is very, very low-scoring game. We got Georgia versus Kentucky. Now, we know Georgia got a great defense, so it doesn't surprise me that Kentucky only got 3 points, but Kentucky holding Georgia to only 14 points. TJ, how do you think about that game?
Yeah, I mean, we know Kentucky's pretty solid, but again, I out of the number 5 team in the country, I kind of want a little bit more out of the quarterback play. And Stetson Bennett he wasn't very good. They didn't really let him do much. He only threw 13 times for 131 yards, but still managed to throw 2 interceptions, even though he only threw 13 times. So 2 out of that's not a very good ratio right there. This is essentially a game where Georgia just, out-talented Kentucky. They just let the defense do whatever they needed to do the whole game. And, they can do that with most of their schedule because, composite-wise, they have the most talented roster in the whole country. So they can, just lean on Kentucky, let Kentucky, beat themselves. Terry Wilson wasn't playing in this game too, starting quarterback for Kentucky. So they had to do some mishmash at quarterback. Didn't work out too well. A good day for the Georgia defense. Not really selling me that Georgia has taken any step further, like above number 5 or number 4.
Ray, how you feel about this game?
Kind of, I'll just go with same thing TJ just said. Stetson Bennett did nothing. They only let him throw the ball 13 times, and he really didn't do anything. I mean, Zamir White had a nice game, 136 yards. Touchdown. Bennett had a rushing touchdown. I mean, this is why I think people are a little down on Georgia right now. Their defense can play with anybody in the country. Mm-hmm. But for week to week, you just never know what their offense is going to do. So you don't know.
Yeah, and one more thing to add. I was thinking of like a comparison of this team looks like. And these Georgia teams, they look like Nick Saban's early Alabama teams. I mean, really, really like super duper talented on the defense, all across the roster, really. But, just quarterback, like A.J. McCarron was pretty good. Maybe I'll go before that era and mix in Jay Coker there as well. But a really good running game and just not too much pop on the offense, and that gets exposed against elite quarterbacks. And we've already seen it once this year. I mean, Georgia in the second half against Alabama, no chance. We'll talk about Georgia, Florida later this week. Well, they will be facing a real quarterback with real offensive weapons and a ton of talent all up and down the roster. And you wonder, can Stetson Bennett hang in there and beat someone on equal talent level?
Yeah, it's going to be a really good question. I mean, I don't know how, if I have faith in him right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if I do either. I'm probably going to think about my pick for that as we go on.
It's not going to be good.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought I really thought TJ was gonna bring up the Justin Field thing, but I'm surprised you didn't.
I think I've beat that into the ground right now. When they make the SEC title game and lose again, then I'll probably bring it back up.
You're not the only one, though, man. Because every time I hear from a person that's a Georgia fan, they think, "Man, what would we be like if we had that kid right now?" So.
And he was only in your program. I mean, you easily could have just said, "Oh, he's better."
I mean,
it's not that hard.
It makes you wonder what Kirby Smart was looking at, to be honest with you.
I wonder that too.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was watching.
Definitely. All right, let's get to a game. The next game. This game crushed my heart to see it. K-State versus West Virginia. I was all over K-State. I think might have been the only one that said K-State.
I picked K-State too.
You did K-State too? Yeah. Man, Ray was right about it. Ray was right. They got trashed. What do you, Ray? I'm gonna start with you since you got it right. What do you think about that game?
I'm not going to say I told you so, but I mean, don't sleep on West Virginia's defense, man. They're very, very good. Yeah. Jerome, you could like that team has like 5 defensive backs that all can play, man. They all play good football. They're very versatile. They have safeties that can play in the slot. They have safeties that can make down and tackle people. They have a lot of good defensive players on that team, man. I didn't expect it to be that one-sided. I didn't. I thought it'd be closer than that. I thought Kansas State would hang in the game. I just thought West Virginia's defense would kind of contain them a little bit better than other teams have, and they did. So I mean, I'm not going to say I was surprised by the outcome, by the final score, but I wasn't surprised. I mean, but if you look, Will Howard for K-State threw 3 picks. Yeah. Vaughn only averaged 2.4 yards a carry, and when you do that to him, that really curbs their offense because without him, their offense isn't quite as good. So,
I 100% agree. TJ, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, Will Howard looked like a freshman. I was checking this game on my phone because there were other games I wanted to watch on TV, but it seemed like Will Howard looked like a freshman. When you have a quarterback struggling, you focus on the run game. Run game isn't there either, and then you're lost. It was not good. It was not very close the whole way. I was really impressed with West Virginia. Letty Brown again. He's very, very, very good there in the backfield. Their defense was good. Jarrett Doge, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. So that's usually a pretty good recipe for winning.
Definitely. And like we said last week, I was expecting them to rely on their running game a lot more than they did. I think they was passing a little bit more than they probably should have. They need Skylar Thompson back, man. He without him, they are okay team. But I feel like with him, they're a really good team, and it just sucks that they got destroyed by West Virginia. No offense to West Virginia, they did their thing, and like Ray said, they have a really good defense. But
then they looked really good.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to see more from K-State, and it was a flat game, like TJ said. So
I'm just surprised because they have like 5 quality defensive backs on that team. Yeah, maybe 6.
They do. They really do. And they got some good pass rushers as well. Good pass rushers.
They do. They have a kid. His name escapes me right now. Dante Stills, an inside guy who can play out, can play the 3 tech, can play the 1 tech. He actually plays a little 0 tech, and whatever he asks this kid to do, he does a good job of it. So,
yeah, I think like 2 weeks ago he got like a pick or something like that. It was like insane.
He's a very they play him in the middle. He's only about like 280 something, 290, but he's very versatile. So.
Correct. Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. We got Clemson versus Boston College. Wow. Boston College almost gave Clemson a scare. As you guys already know, I don't think we talked about it on our last podcast because I think it was like right after. Trevor Lawrence was not able to play this game due to COVID-19. He did get COVID-19, so prayers out to him. Hope he gets healthy. He's not playing in the next game versus Notre Dame, so we will talk about that because I'm pretty sure Ray was going to want to talk about that. But we got Clemson was down, what was it, 21-3 or something like that at one point. It was really bad.
Yeah.
They came back. They started, the running game. Well, I'm blanking on his name. Travis Etienne. He fumbled like going into the end zone. It was really bad. TJ, fill me in. What else happened in that game? Why was it
first? I need to make sure you guys can pronounce DJ's name correctly. Okay, I know how to do it. I'm just trying to see.
Galule. Did I get it right?
Close.
That's close.
Uiagalelei. You get it. You'll be saying it. You'll be seeing it a lot on
You're gonna have to get it. You're gonna have to get it.
But yeah, so that Travis Etienne fumble you talked about, that was a big reason why the score looked so lopsided in the first half. Like BC played a really good first half, don't get me wrong, but it probably should have been about I think 21-17 at the half instead of 28-13. Well, actually, let me do math here. No, it would be 21-20. Sorry. So yeah, Travis Etienne probably was scoring a touchdown on that drive instead. It got returned all the way for a touchdown on the other end by BC. We don't see him make that mistake often. He more than made up for it because he was the leading rusher and the leading pass catcher for Clemson. He is amazing. He's probably going in the first round. His growth since his freshman year when he was a little stick, couldn't break tackles against. I remember that game against Alabama in the playoff. They could not move the ball at all, and just year after year after year, he's gotten stronger. He's evolved his game more, and he looks awesome. So Uiagalelei, I thought they kept him it was a very conservative approach. A lot of quick throws, a lot of, not letting him make a mistake. He didn't make a mistake, and you can see all the talent there. I mean, man, he would start on probably 90% of the teams in the country just immediately. He looked good, and they're in really good hands once Trevor Lawrence heads to New Jersey after this season. But, he looks good. I was impressed. It was a scare by BC. They didn't score in the second half. Clemson definitely adjusted.
Right?
Yeah. Well, Uiagalelei is, I believe, is how it's pronounced, and he looked really good in the second half. In the first half, you know what? I don't think it's that he's not that. People underestimate how much of a leader Trevor Lawrence is on that team.
Yeah,
that team follows him, and he leads them not only with his talent, with his personality. So, I mean, I love I love the kid, but if I were him, I would not want to go to the Jets, man. I would just and Travis Etienne is going to look really good in the Dolphins uniform next year, man. Yeah. So let's just settle both of them right now. But I mean, Lawrence is a stud. We all know that, and we knew that there was a shot that they may come out flat. And of course, Furjakovic played a very, very good first half, and then Clemson trying to put the clamps on their offense a little bit, and then with their defense in the second half. And pretty much that was the deciding factor. I mean, in the end, they remember, Boston College is a solid team, but we're Clemson. So,
And I don't expect – we'll obviously talk about it. I don't expect Clemson to come out flat against Notre Dame. I do not think that's going to happen.
I mean, honestly, there are times when you're as good as Clemson is, you think, we could just show up and we're going to beat these guys. And you know what? The Etienne fumble was something that I don't think that they expected, and that kind of did them in the first half too. So
I heard it put this way: it's like they're just bored. They don't want someone that can beat them. They want someone that can compete with them. Because from what we were saying, the first few weeks, it's like who even stays within 2 touchdowns of them, let alone gets close to beating them. And obviously they were a little flat against BC to start. Some sloppiness, but they definitely picked it up.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next game. Do we have to talk about this one? Can we skip it?
No, we're talking about this one. We're definitely talking about this one.
Michigan versus Michigan State.
You can go first.
Let me ask you this, Jerome, first. Can you do it without criticizing Jim Harbaugh?
I'm going to criticize Jim Harbaugh, but
I'm so done with him. I'm so done. He's not going to beat Ohio State, so you're going to have to fire him. It just you're going to have to. And I'll be surprised.
Michigan State.
Exactly. I'll be surprised if we only lose 2 games this year. We honestly another team's gonna sneak up on us, and then I think it might be Wisconsin, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if Wisconsin playing yet. We'll see about that too.
They might not be eligible. They might miss too many games.
Yeah, that's a whole nother debate. But I will say, since I'm going first, I will say last week, if you guys didn't realize, I was completely being out there when I said this. I say I knew it and I was just joking. I hope you knew that. 2, I said that don't look at Minnesota as bad as they were, because they gave us a lot of short field. That's one of the things I was saying. So I felt confident in this game because it is Michigan State. But if it was like somebody like a Wisconsin or maybe even a Northwestern, I would probably be a little bit more nervous. But everything I said about this team, it happened. Before we played their first game, the first thing I said was I was worried about our secondary. We got torched. Not only torched, but we got torched by a freshman. A freshman. The guys just only played like 2 college games. A freshman. We got torched by a freshman. 2, I was worried about our passing game. A lot of drop balls. And we didn't run I think we didn't run the ball enough. They was getting at our running game. Don't get me wrong, but and Joe Milton, his decision making is not there yet. And I felt like a lot of his RPOs, he could have kept it and he didn't most of the time. So it was all around bad performance. They made our defense look silly out there. And I don't know what to expect right now. Ray, take it over because I could go on. I'm being very calm right now, by the way.
They pretty much made Rocky Lombardi look like he's a really good quarterback, and I'm not sure how good he is. The worst part of it.
I was saying that to TJ. I was like, dude, like Rocky Lombardi is not playing that well, but he's making us.
They lost to Rutgers.
Dude, yeah, they lost to Rutgers last week, and that's never good.
Yeah.
So I again, because we're around from this area, I kind of root for Rutgers to win or play good football, and hopefully they're on their way back to doing that like they did under Schiano before, but we'll see what happens. But I mean, Lombardi he only completed 17 passes, but he threw for 324 yards, man. That's like almost 30 yards of reception. That's crazy. I mean, Jerome, when you said their defensive backs weren't good, apparently you were right. Yeah. Sorry.
Not good. And the crazy thing is, like, you would think, oh, the pass rushers should help them out a little bit. Dude, like, they were so bad. The pass rushers was a non-factor. They really were. And we started getting some injuries on our defensive line as well.
Yeah, that's something I was going to mention, too, because when Rutgers beat Michigan State, I know they were pressuring Lombardi all game, and Michigan didn't even record a sack. I think only 2 tackles for a loss, what I saw. Yeah. Another thing, the red flags were popping up. It wasn't even on Saturday. It was on Friday when I was watching Talia Tagovailoa just shred Minnesota's defense. I mean, that game was a track meet. I'm like, if he's putting up 21, nearly 21 points in the first quarter, and these drives look absolutely effortless, I'm like,
yeah,
maybe I made a mistake in my blog earlier in the week.
You jinxed us.
Playoff. That was a big mistake.
I mean, really, I think we have to reassess how good Minnesota is. Maybe they're not as good as we thought they were.
That's what I was thinking. And again, Jim Harbaugh, man, I just don't know. Like, I know Michigan's not like on the level of Ohio State. So I heard this stat today. Michigan has had one 12-win season in program history ever, I believe, right? Just one. And that's when they claimed that they shared a national title. For comparison, Ohio State has won 12 games 8 times this decade.
Wow.
So it's just different levels of programs. So maybe tamper the expectation.
To be fair, we still have the most wins.
Jim Harbaugh still loses all of his big games. He doesn't beat Michigan State enough. He sometimes not even competing with Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah, he got to start winning big games, and he's not. And I don't see him staying. Two other things I want to talk about real quick in this game, and then we're going to move on. One is that they do not adjust. They cannot adjust on the fly. I do not know why. That is a key thing with coaching. You have to learn how to adjust. When somebody's doing one thing to you the entire game and you do not adjust to it, that's a problem. They started adjusting in like the end of the third quarter when they started putting two safeties up there. I'm like, all right, it's about end of the game now. Like it's too late. But like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Don Brown. I don't know if it's just Jim Harbaugh himself, but we do not adjust. For some reason we just don't adjust. The next thing is there was some really bad penalties. I hate always putting that in, but there was some really bad penalties, especially with like the defensive interference calls, especially early on. There was a couple of that. All right, it made sense, but like there was a few that like that was kind of tacky, dude. Like, it kept them in the games, and there was one at the end of the game that they didn't get called. So not using that excuse, we sucked at all, but like the rest were pretty bad stuff too. Any final words, anybody? So we can move on.
I just think Harbaugh thinks that he can just run his offense and he can run his defense and they're just going to beat teams, and that's not the case anymore, man. Yeah. You have to, like you said, you have to change things up. You can't go out there with almost the same game plan against every team and think you're going to get the same outcome, because different teams play different football. You know?
Yep.
Sorry, Jim, you tried.
All right. Well, we're gonna see how my anger level as the season go on. But let's get off of this game so I don't have to reminisce on it. Let's go to this Auburn game. Game.
Man.
Auburn versus
couldn't have been more wrong on this one.
Woo!
So I guess this is where we finally saw LSU not having Miles Brennan really hit them in the face. Like they managed it well last week against South Carolina, but quarterbacks, they had two different ones in there. TJ Finley started, and then they had another dude in after him. And they were not great. And then we saw the LSU defense. I thought they took a step forward against South Carolina, and Bo Nix, hat tip.
Good boy.
He looked good again, Bo Nix.
Good boy.
He was pretty flawless, actually. I wrote down his line. That's how good it was. 18 for 24, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's pretty good. Yeah, Bo Nix. He
also had 81 yards on the ground with another touchdown. So he had 4 touchdowns.
I'm very quiet right now, Bo Nix.
When you leave Bo Nix, and this is going to sound stupid almost, when you leave him with a clean pocket, he's a really good player. It's only when you get him to move off of his spot that they don't turn the ball over. And they did nothing to do that. He pretty much had his way all the whole game.
It's crazy.
I just got a message from somebody. Bo Nix is awful. Yes, he is, but not last week.
I guess it helps when you're playing two of the worst defenses in the country this year, like Ole Miss and LSU have been two of the worst defenses in the country this year. But hey, win's a win. They looked really good doing it. Are they back in the play?
They made LSU look like a scrimmage team. It was bad.
Yeah, and I bet on LSU in this game. That was I saw the score at halftime. I was like, uh-oh. Yeah, they are in the poll. They're at 24. Yeah. Oh, man.
All right, let's speed through a couple of these real quick. We got the let's do Texas versus Oklahoma. That came to a great, really good game. Went into overtime. Ray, what do you think about that one?
Again, you had Sam Ehlinger played a good game, and if you play a good game, he's not a bad player. Yeah. He's just not a great quarterback, but he's a very good college player. And I mean, Texas is another team. Keep waiting for them to beat Texas, and I don't know if they're ever going to beat Texas again like they used to be. But they still have enough talent to put up good games here and there. And I mean, let's face it, Louisville offense is not that great, and they say he still gave up 35 points to them. So it was like neither team was great, but somebody had to win, you know.
Yeah.
So I really I really thought Texas was just gonna out talent Oklahoma State. I thought they were gonna come out there like they have like top 5 talent in the country, right? They're gonna just roll over them. Well, actually, this game, like if Oklahoma State doesn't turn the ball over, what was it 4 times? It was 4 turnovers for Oklahoma State, none for Texas. Oklahoma State probably wins this by 14 points. Oklahoma State doubled Texas in yardage, more than doubled, and they doubled them in first downs as well. Like they're dominating possession, yards, etc. in this game. I mean, I know Texas got a kick return touchdown too. Like they made plays on special teams. They jumped on fumbles when they hit the ground. But it was an underwhelming win for Texas, if I were to put it that way, and a blown opportunity for Oklahoma State. They're no chance they're in the playoff now. They're blowing their best shot, even though like you look at the box score and say, hey, like they probably should have won this game easily, but they didn't. Sam Ehlinger it almost looks like he's like regressed. He's just so underwhelming. He threw the ball. I think he threw the ball 35 times, only managed 170 yards. I mean, it just so
Yeah,
but they managed to win. So
yeah, that's one thing about Sam Ehlinger. Like I feel like he's very inconsistent. He's very inconsistent with his play. I made a bold prediction last week in this game. I don't remember if you guys remember. But before I used to talk about that, I had literally the worst prediction week I've ever had in the history of RPO podcast. Literally everything I said was the opposite. So in this game, I took Oklahoma State to win. And I said that this is going to be Chuba Herbert's breakout game. My man had 25 carries for 72 yards. His longest was 9 yards.
Under 3 yards a carry, man.
It was
exactly why this season. Exactly. I was just going to say, he is showing exactly why when you have that big year and you're a running back, come out. Don't stay in college. Don't stay, man.
Especially when you're just a straight downhill runner.
He dropped himself from at least a day 2 pick to a day 3, 4th or 5th round right now.
Yeah, it was gross, man. I was just like, sheesh. Like that game, I watched the entire game. Looking at him, I was like zoned in on him. Like, all right, Chuba. All right, Chuba. Here you go. Nope, not that one. All right, next one. Nope.
Let's face it, man. If he doesn't see a hole and hit that hole, he's lost. His contact balance is nothing special. He's a straight line runner, and when he gets that one seam and he can get through it, he's fine. But if you hit him and knock him off his spot, he's done.
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. We're gonna do maybe 1 or 2 more games. Let's get to the UNC game. Wow,
they are underwhelmed. They are disappointing.
They played Virginia and they lost 44-41. Ray, I'm gonna start with you because you are a big Mac Brown fan. You know, you was supporting the team before the season. Is this gonna hurt them a lot? I mean, are they gonna?
Sure. Absolutely.
Have a chance now?
They don't have a chance of. They have no chance of winning an ACC title. If that's what you're asking me, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, they're not. That's not going to happen. Their defense, you can't come out and play the way their defense has played all year and think that you're going to win any kind of championship. That's not going to happen. So, and I like Mac Brown. He's a good coach. His offense is pretty good. Quarterback is pretty good. Defense is horrible. Period.
I think they're on their way. I don't think all the defensive pieces are necessarily there yet. I thought they had a chance to appear in the ACC title game this year. They at times look like they could probably be the second best team in the conference. This was not one of those days. I mean, they had a 20. I can just summarize this in a chunk of time in the second and third quarter. They took the lead. They had a 76-yard touchdown pass to take the lead midway through the second quarter. And then they give up 4 straight touchdowns, 2 in the second quarter, 2 in the third quarter, and then blink of an eye, you're pretty much out of the game, and you have to just rage back in the second half. Not even the full second half, halfway through the third quarter to come back and win this game, and that's just too much. The defense, it's just not good enough. It's not. They've been torched by teams with middling talent like Virginia, better talent but worse program currently like Florida State. Like the red flags have been there, but when we see them, run up the score on Virginia Tech or on NC State, it's like, all right, they're back now. They're back. And then they just lose again. So
when your best player, your quarterback, throws for 443 yards at 4 touchdowns, and De'Ami Brown throws up 11 receptions for 240 and 3 touchdowns, and you lose?
Yeah.
You really don't need to know nothing else about your defense, really.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, like, Sam Howell was incredible. I mean, he only missed 5 passes. He's 23 of 28 for over 400 yards.
Only missed 2 passes, right?
5.
Five.
Well, still, my goodness, for only 28 pass attempts and you're over 440, that's insane. That's incredible efficiency, but in the end, not enough.
It's crazy because we were all like, hey, like, let Sam Howell, like, throw the ball more. They're running it too much.
Let Sam Howell
go passing, and they still lose.
Honestly, now your theory should be we need to run the ball and keep the ball away from other teams because our defense has more holes in it than a piece of Swiss cheese right now, man.
So the only problem is Sam Howell, he did fumble twice. He lost one of them. In that stretch I was talking about where they allowed 4 touchdowns, I believe they fumbled twice or 3, I believe, in that stretch, and muffed a punt. So that's not going to help. It's not all buttoned up there.
No, they need to play better. Well, their defense and special teams have hurt them all year.
Yeah.
And they did nothing for them last week, of course. So
yeah.
All right, let's talk about our last game. It is Virginia Tech versus Louisville. Virginia Tech wins 42-35. The inconsistency with this Louisville defense, man. I don't know. TJ, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, they got ran over. Khalil Herbert, again, one of the best backs in the country, is at 7 yards a carry. Virginia Tech ran for like 300 yards. Virginia Tech's not going to light you up through the air. Like, they're good on the ground. And I'm going to go back to the Louisville game against Florida State and against Notre Dame. They were very, 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 very good. And then they just got rolled. Malik Cunningham threw 3 picks. That's never going to help you.
Yeah.
Just not a great performance.
Right.
Hendon Hooker only threw the ball 10 times, but didn't have an incompletion. I mean, it's just it wasn't even a fun game to watch. It wasn't fun. It was like up and down the field. It was like whoever makes the last mistake or the least amount of mistakes is going to win the game, which is usually the case when it comes to football anyway.
Yeah. But
you just expected more out of Louisville because their defenses play well sometimes, just not last week.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was crazy. Like I said, the inconsistency with the defenses was a huge problem for Louisville. I'm trying to see who we picked for that game. We didn't announce that game. But yeah, it was one of those games that I thought this was going to be a close game. I thought it was going to be a good one, but at the same time, like, I didn't think it was going to go in that way where all that defense was that bad. So we also had Ohio State versus Penn State. You already know how that was going to go.
Justin Fields is good.
Yes.
That boy good.
And then we had Maryland versus Minnesota that we alluded to earlier. Minnesota actually did put up 44 points, but they gave up 45 points on defense. So it was pretty bad with that. So
you guys did.
Offense look good.
I hear a lot of people talking about Justin Fields now, which they should be because the kid is playing really good football. And Ohio State is taking the reins off, let them throw the ball downfield a little bit, which usually they don't do.
Yeah.
But does anybody really think that Justin Fields is that close to Trevor Lawrence? Because I still don't think he is. So
I think close? So.
No.
I've seen some of his throws this year. I mean, they're unbelievable. I mean, the connection him and Chris Olave have, like that second touchdown he threw in the first quarter this past Saturday against Penn State. I mean, perfect. It looks so smooth. we obviously won't know until he plays in games in the NFL whether he will be like every other Ohio State quarterback, but I think he's different.
No, he's better.
Man is
He's better
supreme.
than that. But I still think, honestly, you have 3 quarterbacks that should be taken in the first round this year. You have Fields, Lawrence, and Trey Lance. All
Exactly.
3, I believe, are going to be NFL quarterbacks. But I would still take Trevor Lawrence over the other 2. And really, I don't think it's as close as people act like it is.
I don't think we're here to debate if Trevor Lawrence is going to get overtaken by someone. I don't see any scenario where that's going to happen.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our Week 10 previews. Who we're gonna pick? We're gonna pick these a little fast. We need to get out of here today a little early, but let's get right into it. We got Oklahoma State versus K-State. Both games need to be some comeback games and need to get back on track. These kind of games. TJ, who you got?
Oklahoma State. I think Will Howard's gonna. If he had trouble with West Virginia, he's gonna have a lot more trouble with Oklahoma State. I mean, again, we mentioned Oklahoma State didn't play bad defensively last week. The turnovers is what hurt them, not the defense. They only gave out like 240 yards all game. I think Will Howard is in for a tough one. Easy. Right. I think Oklahoma State probably in a blowout.
Right.
I agree with what TJ just said. I mean, they're 12-point favorites, so I can't see them losing this game. And I think they'll probably win by 2 touchdowns. I do.
Yeah. I'm gonna take K-State. I'm sorry. See, I'm so used to taking K-State. I'm gonna take Oklahoma State. I've been on K-State train all year. After seeing what happened last week, I was trying to trust the young quarterback, but if they can't run the ball either, it is gonna be bad for them. They need Skylar Thompson back. So I'm going to go Oklahoma State. All right, Ray, we're going to talk about your game. Clemson versus
oh boy.
Ray,
I'm excited for this.
How do you feel about this one?
I mean, I think the thing that we all know what the scary part of this game is, and it's Ian Book. I mean, Notre Dame's a good team. They're a very good team. Is Ian Book good enough to win this game? I'm not sure about that, but I'm rooting for them. But if you ask me who I'm going to pick to win the game, I'd have to say Clemson's probably going to win the game. I won't be rooting for them to win the game, but they're 5-point favorite even without Trevor Lawrence. So how can I say they're not going to?
Yeah,
and I don't like being. I love Notre Dame. They're in my blood. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that, but again, I'm here to try to be up, an objective point of view. And if I'm being objective, I think that, again, they're favored by 5 points without Trevor Lawrence. That tells me that I'll root for Notre Dame as hard as I can. And if they don't get me wrong, if Notre Dame wins the game, I would not be surprised. But that means that if that happens, that means that Ian Book played really, really well. And I'm not sure about that. That's all.
TJ?
So with Trevor Lawrence, I don't think this is close at all. I really don't. I think this is like a 2-touchdown game at least. But with Uiagalelei, it's going to be interesting because this will be a huge step up in competition from Boston College and Notre Dame. Notre Dame, top 3 probably defense in the country. It'd probably do Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, if we're going to be honest. So it's going to be tight. I'm going to go with Clemson though. Travis Etienne's the best player on the field. He's gonna show it again. He'll probably break one running. He might break one passing out of the backfield too. He's that special of a player. I just can't see. I can't see Ian Book generating points against this defense. We've seen Ian Book play Clemson once. He scored 3 points. 3 points. I know that team was pretty good, but still, I have no faith in him.
The only thing I will say is this: is like whenever I tell anybody, when you're a little bit of an undermanned team, turnovers will be the deciding factor. If Notre Dame can get more turnovers than Clemson, then maybe they have a shot.
If Uiagalelei, if he like puts the ball on the ground, he makes bad throws some picks, I would feel very comfortable with Notre Dame, but I don't know. I'm picking Clemson though. I'm not going to not pick against Clemson.
I'm going to take Clemson as well. DJ Ugalongolele.
You're getting it. You'll get it, but you're gonna have to get it by the end of the year.
I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna get it. But no, the kid is nice. I think he's good. He shows some promise. He has potential. I think he's gonna be better in the full system next year. And I think that like he had a shorter practice week last week too, so he have a longer practice week this week now, which is gonna help. And also, Notre Dame's defense, they're really good, but like, have they played any good offenses this year? I don't think so, right? Unless I'm missing something.
Not really. I haven't looked at their schedule.
I don't think they played.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think Florida State might be the best one they played.
He said
Pitt had some good. Pitt also didn't have Kenny Pickett. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the defense is just not going to be prepared for it, especially with Travis Etienne being in there, and hopefully he don't fumble again. And like TJ said, if he didn't fumble that game, the game would have been a lot different last week. So I'm going to take Clemson as well. All right, let's get to our next game. Louisville versus Virginia. TJ, who you got?
This is just an underwhelming game. I guess Louisville's favored. I'll take Louisville. I mean, one's 2-5, one's 2-4. They've had some good wins. They've also looked terrible at times. So I couldn't tell you.
Unless I read my line wrong, Virginia's a 3-point favorite in this game. Actually,
I'll still pick Louisville.
I'm going to take Virginia.
I will as well. I'm going to do the same. So
the same as who?
Same as right. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay.
You said last, so I follow.
Okay, all right, I got you. All right.
So let's get to our next game: Miami versus NC State. Ray, who you got?
I got Miami. I think Miami is a 10-point favorite, and this should be like right up their alley. NC State's not a great team. They play hard, and they're a fairly well coached team. But Miami is a way more talented team than them. So,
TJ?
Yeah, and Miami, they've struggled to run the ball this year, but NC State has also really struggled defending the run this year. I think they might get back on track in that department. It's probably offensive line's fault. I haven't watched a whole lot of Miami outside of them getting beaten by Clemson, which is not a great measure of where their team is.
Yeah.
But 10.5 point spread.
Yeah,
I think De'Ara King maybe gets his legs going on the ground today too. He's been dynamic as a passer as well, so that's just too much. Miami.
Yeah.
I will say that spread changed a lot because it was not 10-point spread when I first looked at it.
We started out with the 7-point spread, and now it's 10. So that leads me to think Miami's probably going to blow them out. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm on that train too. I'm going to Miami as well. All right, we got BCU versus Boise State. BCU is only favored by 3 points. I'm gonna go with TJ first on this because he just did a fabulous article.
You mean BYU?
Check that out. What did I say? Boise State?
You said BCU, I think.
BYU. Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
BYU. I don't know what BCU is. BYU.
Fascinating game.
Yeah, BYU. TJ did a great article on it, so make sure you check that out on InsideTheHatches.com. where you can find that great article. TJ, who you got in this one, man?
Oh, man. Well, Boise State, they've not really played anyone all year. So they got the number 9 ranking. They've looked awesome. They've blown everyone out. Zach Wilson, I think, is going in the top 10 now. There's probably going to be 4 quarterbacks going in the top 10 because NFL teams are crappy at drafting quarterbacks, so they make up for their mistakes quick. But anyway, you just need to watch highlights of Zach Wilson, and he looks like an NFL quarterback. I mean, he looks like he has a little Rodgers in him. The way he throws, he sort of jumps when he lets the ball go, and the back foot goes. It's smooth, effortless, a lot of arm strength there. He's been the main catalyst. But Boise State's getting 2.5 points on the home blue turf. Yeah, turf. And that's too good to pass up. BYU won this last matchup last year, I believe, 28-25. But I'll take the Broncos here at home. This is by far the best team they've played, and it's not going to be so easy. I mean, we might see like an interception or two early from Zach Wilson, not used to having those windows so tight on the throws he's making.
Right.
I'm taking BYU in this game, man. The fact that they're a 2.5 point, 3 point favorite on the road tells me they're going to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going with BCU. Why I keep saying BCU? BYU. I'm going with BYU as well. Reason why is that they have a bigger sample size. Boise State only had 2 games. They look good with their 2 games, but we got to see BYU. They had a really good game last week, so I'm gonna go with BYU as well. All right, let's get to this game: West Virginia versus Texas. Ray, who you got?
I got Texas in this game. I mean, talking about how good West Virginia's defense is, but I think Texas is still a more talented team. And hopefully, if they want to make any noise, they need to build off of that win last week and win this week. I think that, again, they're almost a touchdown favorite in the game. I mean, so I can't see why they would lose the game. Do I expect them to cover that? Probably not, but I don't think they'll lose the game.
Yeah, they're 6.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
TJ, who you got?
I mean, so Texas had a big win last week, which means they're going to be very underwhelming this week. So,
So you taking West Virginia?
Absolutely.
I am on the same wavelength. What did we say about these 2 teams? We talked about West Virginia's defense, and we talked about the inconsistency of Sam Ehlinger,
who was not good last week. The Texas offense as a whole struggled mightily against Oklahoma State, and they'll have trouble again.
Yep. So I'm going to go with West Virginia. I think they're going to be on a hot streak, and I think they're going to win this game. All right, let's get to our next game. Should we even talk about this one? Michigan State versus Iowa. Right, who you got?
I got Iowa. I think Iowa is a way better team than Michigan State. I think Michigan State had a big win last week against Michigan, and I think they can now flat this week and get their rear ends boiled.
Yeah, it's only a 7 point. Iowa is only 7 points up, but Ray got Iowa. TJ?
Yeah, I would take Iowa too. Iowa's had the lead in both games they've played. They've had opportunities to win, and they've turned the ball over or haven't played well late in the game. And 3rd time's the charm. They'll get it. I don't know if Michigan State's all the way quite there yet. Like, you get up for a rivalry game, but let's remember they lost to Rutgers the week before. So we can pump the brakes a little bit. Mel Tucker, he's got a tough job coming in the COVID year. Not as many practices, meeting the players. But I'll take Iowa.
I'm going to take Iowa simply because I trust in Iowa's defensive backs more than the Michigan defensive backs. So, all right, let's get to our next game. Michigan versus Indiana. Check the spread on that. It is Michigan's favored by 3 points. TJ, who you got?
Oh, it's not a big game. Is it in prime time?
It is at 12. It's not prime time. It's
okay. So then
Indiana is at home.
Michigan's gonna win.
Michigan's gonna win.
Oh, so Michigan's talent, Indiana's had a nice start to the season. So they got dominated by Penn State, managed to make big plays, come back and win that game in overtime by that much, and then they beat Rutgers. So this is a little bit. This is like Penn State level talent here that they were dominated opening week. So I think they'll come back to earth. I can't believe that's only 3 points.
It's only 3 points. Yep.
Interesting. All right.
I'm going to take Michigan too. I think that Indiana is not as good as people think they are. I think that they got very lucky against Penn State. Did they create some of that luck? But yeah, they did. But Penn State is not a great team right now, neither. So I'll take Michigan.
I'm nervous about this game. In a way, I think I want Indiana to win, so we can start saying Harbaugh, fire and Harbaugh.
How much is the buyout on a lifetime contract?
Yeah. But I am gonna go with Michigan. I do think we're a more talented team, but if the coaches do not know how to adjust to this game, then it's over. Every team's gonna do the same exact things to us, and they're just not gonna adjust.
Bro, do you really think that Michigan would fire Jim Harbaugh?
I think he would step down.
Exactly. They're never going to fire Jim Harbaugh.
Because he's better than what they've had.
Yeah.
Like,
he's Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the ones that there was like 3 or 4 different teams that wanted him. They threw the most money against the wall. I mean, they love him. He's an alumni. I mean, they're never going to fire Jim Harbaugh.
They're gonna be calling for his head. I'm just saying.
You can call. You think he's never going to quit?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens when Ohio State beat the Brits.
Ohio State will beat them 40-10, but that doesn't matter. They're never going to fire him.
They lost to Ohio State before Jim Harbaugh got there. They lost to him during. They will lose to him after as well. Like, it's going to happen.
We'll see. Well, maybe I might be the only one for it then. I don't
know. Listen to me. You know how I feel about Michigan. I hate them, but I respect them.
Yeah. Do you think, Jerome, do you think there would be a coach out there that Michigan could go get that would help Michigan beat Ohio State?
No, but, sometimes.
Yeah, there's one. There's one. Me and Jerome talked about him Saturday.
No!
Who?
Urban Meyer.
He would not. He'd never do that. He would never.
If they did a Jim Harbaugh type of deal for him, he might be like.
He would not do that. I think he's done coaching.
He said he is, but you can't.
Let me tell you something, man. Money talks, and Urban Meyer has no integrity at all. All he cares about.
I'm sure there's been SEC programs throwing money at him too, and he said no. But
it's not Michigan, though, bro.
I don't think so.
There's no openings. That was better than Michigan.
Hey, before we run out of time, let's talk talk this Pac-12 game. It's my territory.
Let's get to this Pac-12 game. Let's go to Washington versus Cal. TJ, who you got?
I don't even know who Washington's quarterback is. I think on their depth chart, they listed 4 guys as the starter at quarterback. So I have no idea. Washington's lost 2 in a row to Cal by 3 combined points. They've really struggled with Cal's defense 2 years in a row. I mean, it's been arguably the games that have kept them out of the big bowl games, losing to Cal. But I'm probably going to take Cal. They have the more experienced quarterback in Bowers, and their defense is really good. So I guess it's going to be a really close game. You can probably coin flip it. The spread's only 1.5 points towards Cal. So the betting market agrees with me. So yeah.
I agree with everything you just said except for the betting mark. Because if you're a 1.5 favorite at home, you're an underdog by 1.5. So I'll take Cal. I'm sorry. I'll take Washington.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll take Washington.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, you're playing at Cal. You're a 1.5 favorite, and everything you just said is right. Except for why is it only a 1.5 spread?
Well, because it's Cal. Washington recruits way better than Cal does.
Yeah.
All Cal's recruits
do they have more talent then?
What, does Washington have more talent?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Doesn't mean they always win. They haven't the last 2 years, and they've lost both games.
You're right. I'll take the more talented team, though.
It's the Pac-12. You never know what's going to happen.
Definitely. I'm going to go
defense out there, but that's besides the point.
Pretty much just Washington and Cal do, and Oregon a little bit.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Cal. They had a good defense last year. I know they lost some people. We got a first comment real quick. But LaMarcus says Pac-12 stinks.
Hey, easy.
Bad.
But I think
they play defense the way Donald Trump knows how to talk in public.
Right. Hey, if you want to watch no defense, I'm saying ASU, USC, 9 a.m. on Fox. There's going to be wide receiver talent and quarterback talent. That's the 2 best quarterbacks in the conference. With
but that's how teams out there win, though.
Receivers in the conference.
That's how teams out there win, though. Even when Oregon was good, they outscored teams. They didn't play defense against anybody.
Yeah, for sure. All right, 30 seconds, guys. Let's get real quick to these last 2. Florida versus Georgia. Who you got?
I got Georgia. Georgia's still a more talented team with a better defense. I'll take Georgia.
TJ?
I'm gonna go with Florida. They probably Dan Mullen needs the big win for himself more than Kirby Smart does. That sounds kind of weird, but I'm gonna go with Cal Trask.
Yo, I was actually going to say the same thing. I'm actually going to say the same thing, TJ. I thought you was gonna go with Georgia. I thought I was gonna be the only one to go with Florida, but I'm gonna go with Florida as well. All right, last game, real quick. Texas A&M versus South Carolina. TJ, who you got?
A&M's been pretty, except playing Alabama, they've been pretty consistent all year. They no matter who they played. I mean, Arkansas has been tough, but they beat them quite handily. So I'm gonna go Texas A&M.
All right, Ray.
I'll go with Texas A&M too. 10-point spread tells me all I need to know.
I'm going the same way. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you guys for definitely coming on and watching this. Shout out to LaMarcus. I do appreciate you getting on. He was, we'll discuss your comments a little bit later on, but we do appreciate you guys. So make sure you come in here each week on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock to check us out. We cover everything college football all day, every day. We love college football, so we make sure we check that out. So make sure you check us out every Wednesday. Also, make sure you check out our website, InsideTheHatches.com. You find all our content, our blogs, our gaming, podcasts, player interviews. A lot of these players that we're talking about, we interview them and things like that. So please make sure you check that out. And also check out our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You find all our player interviews on there. And our social media, Inside the Hatches at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So I'm Jerome Jones. We got Ray Roberts, and we got TJ Mathewson. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Peace. If I can get it. There you go.